Right, so it's time to talk about improvisation part 2. Now, if you missed the first one, click the link in the top right hand corner now, or the link in the description, and go there first before watching this one right now. So in the last episode, we spoke about how you can use such a minimal amount of notes and repetition and phrasing to create really cool and interesting patterns without much effort. And now that's a great start. That really works, and you want to be able to master that before you go anywhere else, particularly the timing side of things. But what if you wanted to do it slightly differently, like include more notes, include a whole scale? How do you go about taking that wide array of notes and making them sound good? Well, interestingly, it doesn't actually take that much. All it requires is a little bit of pattern recognition. Now let me show you what I mean by that. Now, let's say we have two notes in the left hand. We have an A and we have a D. These may well be the notes that I suggested to use last time. I can't quite remember. Anyways, if you have those two notes, you can then improvise over the top with just a few others. And you can see how it all fits just by using a little bit of phrasing, repetition, and keeping it nice and basic. But as I said, what if we want to include extra notes? What if we want to include the whole A minor scale so we're only on white notes? What if we want to have all of those options? Well, it doesn't take much. So first off, all you need to do is think, right, what's the left hand doing if it was playing chords? Well, let's start with the A. If we're in the key of A minor, the A is the first, and the first chord of A minor is A, C and E, 1, 3 and 5. There's our chord. Now, if we go up to D with our little finger, we know that 1, 3 and 5, where D is positioned in the A minor scale, gets us D minor. So we've got A and D minor. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to play that in the left hand, but what it does mean is it means that our right hand can focus on those specific notes that exist within the chord. For example, if I play an A now, I can make something up just by using the notes that I knew from the chord, A, C and E. And of course, I can use them in different octaves, that's absolutely fine, but I know that those three notes are my fundamental notes that I can go to make something sound good. They're never going to clash. Whereas if I say played only B, D and F, it doesn't really matter if I'm in time or have any repetition. It's never going to sound like it resolves because none of the notes in B, D and F exist within the chord in the left hand, A, C and E. So let's do the same for D minor. If I was going to play a D in the left hand, I know that in the right I've got D, F and A to play with. But here's the thing, I'm sure you're probably already noticing it. You're thinking, okay, it sounds alright, you're in time, you got a pattern, but it sounds empty. I might as well just be doing a broken chord. I could just be doing that. I could be doing an arpeggio. And it sort of sounds a little bit classical, it doesn't quite work. So what you want to do then is use transition notes. So let's go back to the A and the A minor, A, C and E. At this point I know that A, C and E anywhere on the piano are my strongest notes. But that doesn't mean that I can't use any other note from the A minor scale. So I could go something like this. I use the D and I use the F to circulate around the E, being the fifth of the chord, and then returned back to the A after I've done my little bit of improvisation to round off the sound. And the nice thing is, if I always return to A or return to E or return to C, it's pretty much always going to sound like it resolves. If I wanted to be completely bonkers, I could even use any of the black notes as well, so long as I end up on an A, because that will be the strongest note in the scale. You thought it sounded wacky and completely crazy until the A existed. As soon as that A came in alongside the A in the left hand, it made it sound like I was confident. It made it sound like I knew exactly where I was going from the get-go. That was a little bit wackier. And that one worked. So I'm not saying, okay, you can use every single note on the piano and it's always going to sound good just because you're coming back to the A. But what I want to drive home is that if you make use of the fundamental notes within each chord that the left hand plays, even if it doesn't even have to play them, then you'll be in a great position to add multiple notes in. So if I go from A to D, give a bar on each or so, you can see how I can start to use more of the scale so long as I always come back to and sort of pronounce and push forwards the notes that are within the chords to begin with. So here we go. And here, even though I've ended up on an A in the right hand, you'll know that it's the fifth of D minor in the left. That's the trick, that's the main thing that you can take away from this, is that, okay, you might think, right, we're in the A minor scale, I can use any notes I want and it's gonna work. Well, you can, but it's never gonna quite resolve unless you think about the chords that the left hand's playing. Yes, you're in A minor, but let's break it down a little bit further and say, right, when you're playing the A, utilise these notes from the A minor scale. When you're playing the D, utilise these notes from the A minor scale. It's still A minor, it's always A minor, but you're focusing on different areas of the scale solely dependent on what the left hand is doing. So I feel that was a little bit of a longer one, but the question is, did it make sense? Did it show you that there are hidden patterns within a scale? Did it show you that you need to understand what your left hand is playing, even if it's not playing the full chord? Because truly, as soon as you do understand what the left hand is doing, as soon as you can start to push your knowledge into the music theory world of chords and what sound good, then your improvisation and your soloing and your composing will benefit greatly. So let me know what you think. Was this too much of a jump from episode 1 to episode 2? I'd love to know. I can always add in something in between. And have a go yourself. Just see if it works. Just see if you can take any piece of music that you've got. Maybe you've seen some chords before, maybe you can look online and find some chords and just put it into practice. Now, in the future, I truly plan on creating some chord progressions, creating some worksheets that give you this basic setup, that give you the chords already, give you some structured notes to begin improvising with, and then you're sort of already on your way without having to completely dive in at the deep end. But while that's still in the works, you can put in the practice now. See if you can gain a little bit of self-independence with your improvising and composing before I even begin sending out those worksheets. I just want to thank those of you who've already sent me messages and praise for my pirate stuff. It is great reading your emails. Don't forget, you can contact me via my website, robharveymusic.com, and I'll respond directly. And if you've got any questions about this video, about the previous video, about any of my videos or anything to do with music, please let me know, because you, the people who watch this, will structure where these videos go and what I teach you. So let me know in the comments below. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and I will see you tomorrow for another video.